Welcome to Linda's Corner. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about how to find happiness and healing after a health crisis. I'm delighted to welcome special guest Aanandha Sahuraja. Aanandha is the author of Stroke of Gratitude, the CEO of one of the largest wellness companies in Singapore, and a stroke survivor. You can learn more about Aanandha and his book at his website, strokeofgratitude.com, and I'll include a link in the show notes. Welcome, Aanandha. I am so glad that you could join with me today.
Thank you so much, Linda, for the invitation. I would just like to correct, I was one of the largest spa and wellness companies till 2012, the year of my stroke. Now I'm not the largest because I've sold part of my company away. And so my wife is running the balance of my company, and I'm focusing on my book now, on my book journey.
That's wonderful. I think it's beautiful how you're able to kind of find a way to make things work for you and your situation and I think part of your ambition of I need to be the biggest, I need to be the best is actually maybe what kind of led to a problem. Would you mind telling your story and explain why you wrote this book and why you're doing what you're doing?
Yes, you're right, Linda. It was a mistake for me before my stroke to always focus on working, right, and doing business, right. I should have spent more time with my family, more time on doing things that are important. But unfortunately, I was a workaholic all the time, right? And because of that, I wasn't taking care of myself, right? I made one mistake. I went and got a partner, and then it became difficult because we had to always improve the business, and then I found that stress had come onto me, and by focusing on work and only work, that was a problem that created a situation where my stress went up, and I wasn't sleeping. Enough. I should have been sleeping 8 hours a day, but I was sleeping around 4 hours a day, and that precipitated in a stroke.
And that day changed everything. And
Yes.
I read a section of your book where you went through that horrible day where you get up, you're going to get things done, you talk to your kids, okay, you do this, and you're on your way. And then everything changed in just a moment. And you were so surprised that there wasn't a lot of warning. It was just okay, like flipping on a light switch. We have a different situation right now.
Absolutely, Linda. I never expected that I would have a health crisis, right? Because I was very healthy, right? People always saw me as a very healthy person. And when I had the stroke, it was so devastating because I really did not know what a stroke was. I was so busy in my business. I wasn't focusing on health at all. And it was only after I had the stroke that I realized how serious the stroke would be, and that it would take more than 10 years for me to recover. And even then, partially recover.
Wow, that is that is very frustrating when you have an idea of what your life is going to look like, and then something comes along and changes the trajectory. So let's talk about how did you deal with that when you're used to being in charge and now you can't be in charge, and how that feels in affecting your identity when you think, this is who I am. I'm a person who goes in and gets it done. And then how does that affect you when you're not that part of that guy anymore?
Yeah. What happened when I found that I was not going to be in charge anymore? The main thing was I needed someone to take charge of the company. I was so happy that my wife had joined me 10 years before my stroke, and she was able to take over the company. Then I had to focus on what to do with myself. The first 3 months, I was very demoralized when I was in the hospital. And then when I heard that my healing had plateaued, I said, I cannot let this happen. I've got my 2 daughters still in studying, and I have my company. I have, I have to support my wife, and the only way I could support her was to take care of myself, right? And so I made a decision at the end of when I had my 3 months after my stroke. I said, I'm going to fight this, right? And then I had renewed energy to go out there and to work as hard on my stroke recovery. And then what happened after 3 months? The next 6 months, I saw some improvement, and then it continued. In the first 3 years, I needed a wheelchair, right?
Mm.
But then after that, I said, I'm not going to use the wheelchair. I need to be able to walk, even though I was assisted, right? I need to. So in 2014, 2015, I stopped using the wheelchair.
Congratulations to be able to walk again. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, and not everyone is successful in making that transition. I'm so glad. When you're talking about learning to walk again, in my mind, I flashed back to my son was in a motorcycle accident, and it was quite serious, and he should have died. Fortunately for me, he didn't, but he broke both legs. He had lots of surgeries. He was bedridden, and he had to learn how to walk again.
Wow.
And so that process, sorry, for me, it's personal, because that is so real. That ability to be able to take your place, to take yourself where you want to go, is something that we take for granted every day. So I'm delighted with your success. Now, you talked about your.
Can I ask you, how old is your son?
He is 30 now.
Wow, you've got a 30-year-old son. You look so young.
Oh, thank you very much. So we're talking about healing, and we would really like it to go in this beautiful line where every day I get just a little better and a little better. And it doesn't always work that way, does it?
Yes, it
So
does
how
not.
do you stay positive and motivated when it doesn't go the way that you're hoping it will go?
Okay, how I stay motivated is whenever I feel of like giving up, I then look at my family and see how they are helping me in my journey, and then it becomes very easy for me to continue improving myself. It's my family, especially who was having to take over the burden of my running the company. My wife really motivated me to carry on the journey the last 10 years.
I'm so glad that you had them there to help support you. Now, I
Yeah.
have a question, in that this situation of running this large company was so stressful that it put you in a not good place. How do you protect your wife so that she doesn't feel that stress burden, and so she's able to still be healthy?
Yeah, you're right. It's difficult, Linda, because when you're in that position, it's you want to be the best. And I have been talking to her that she needs to get someone to assist her, right? Like before, there were 2 of us running the company, and now there's only one. So I'm constantly trying to convince her that she needs to get a good person to assist her, and I hope that she would make that decision, because I think that it's very important that when you're running a company the size of ours, you need to make sure that the company can run even without you.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that's a really important thing to do. And it's a little bit, you have to separate your ego from it just a little bit, where it's
Yes.
not just I am the company, it's, I
Yes.
am part of. So I hope that she is able to be healthy. And you mentioned that you were just the number one biggest, and now that you have sold part of it. So hopefully you
Yes.
simplified things a little bit so that it wouldn't
Yes.
be such a burden for her to carry.
Yes, that's correct, Linda.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you're being able to move forward. So let's talk a little bit, if it's okay, about a couple different things. One is I love the title of your book, that it is a stroke of gratitude. So how does gratitude help us to heal?
Yes, I think gratitude is very important for me. Until 2014, I was thinking, how can I pass the message that I wanted to share? And then in 2014, I met Dr. Dan Weissman from America. He came to Singapore, and I attended a seminar. And then I attended his 6-day seminar in Adelaide, in Australia, and I talked to him about my stroke. And he said, Ananda, consider that your stroke is strange wrapping paper, right? And because of that, sorry, I'm going to say that again. Is just a minute.
No worries.
It's,
So it sounds like maybe like a gift
yes,
out
it's
in wrapping paper,
yes,
but the wrapping paper is not beautiful and it doesn't have a big pretty bow on it. It's the wrapping paper of your gift, of your stroke, is pretty ugly, I would say. Not a present
yes,
that I would want to receive.
yes, exactly. It was a gift in strange wrapping paper, and when Dr. Darren Weissman mentioned it, I then realized that that was correct, and that the way that I could get my message over to many other people would be to write a book, and that's how the title of the book came, where it is Stroke of Gratitude.
That is beautiful. And I understand that gratitude also helps us to reduce our stress. I have another friend who had a surprise. It wasn't a stroke, it was a heart attack. And his doctor said, "You've had a heart attack, um, and you're going to have another one if you don't manage your stress. So figure it out or you're dead." And
Yeah,
he said, "Wow, that's a motivator for you." And he found from all the different things that he tried that when he was in a state of gratitude, that he was able to manage his stress better. And I thought, isn't that a beautiful, simple, and for a lot of people, kind of a strange way to manage stress? It's not one of those go-to things that you think of.
that's correct, Linda. That's how I feel now with the book. I feel that gratitude, when it is shared with other people, they will understand how that will help in healing.
And isn't that beautiful? Well, I'm so glad. So, is it okay? Can you give us some tips on some other tips for stress management? We talked about gratitude, that's one thing that we can do. What else can we do to help manage our stress?
Um, the most important thing I feel to manage the stress is enough sleep, right? That helps. And having a very good group of friends that you can go to discuss these things are very important. Of course, first is family, right? But family, we know that the family is always helping you, but the important thing is to have a good group of friends that you could bounce off ideas and that you feel very safe with, right? And I think that this would have, would help reduce stress. One other thing that I use is visualization, right? When I find myself, in a stressful situation, I just close my eyes and I visualize the problem already settled, right? And I think visualization is a very powerful way of helping reduce stress in our mind and our body.
Isn't
The other
that
thing is,
beautiful?
sorry. The other thing is, besides visualization, is meditation, right? This helps me as well, meditation, as well as yoga, right? I think yoga also helps me. So these are the things that help me in my stress reduction.
That is beautiful. And all of those things are very doable. I
Yes,
love that the first two, when you talked about let's get enough sleep and let's make community with our friends and with our family and just have that association and friendship. These are the things that just help us have a joyful life. It's not just something that you do because you don't want to get sick. It's something that you want to do because you want to be happy every day.
absolutely, Linda.
That is awesome. I'm so glad that you were able to find some tools that worked for you. Do you want to give any specifics about stroke, healing from that, or something that can, maybe there's someone who's listening who has recently had a stroke and they're thinking, oh no, what can I do? How do I get over this?
Okay, the thing that helps with someone who has got a stroke is to consider acupuncture, right? I found acupuncture very important for stroke recovery. Secondly, um, is having enough sleep, right? Now, many of my friends who have had stroke, uh, who have had a stroke, uh, do not have enough sleep. But I think the sleep is very important. If you can get 8 to 10 hours, 7 to 8 hours of sleep each day, it will be a very good way of reducing stress. And it's important to start your sleep at 10 in the evening, right? And have it from 10 to 6, because this is the healing cycle, especially between 10 to 2. It's very important. Many people go to bed around 12 o'clock, but they have lost half the important. The most important is to sleep by 10 o'clock, and 10 to 12 is very critical. And if you get another 4 hours of sleep, so you get 8 hours of sleep, I think that will help so much.
Isn't that interesting that the timing matters? Because some people think, well, if I just sleep in the morning, then I'm still getting some hours of sleep. But I guess research shows that it actually works better for our bodies if we go to bed a little earlier, and that timing matters. And I love that you brought up sleep again. And I spoke recently with a doctor, and he talked about some of the things that happen to our brain when we sleep. He said some people think, when you sleep, you're just wasting time. This is time I could be working, time I could be doing something. He said, no, your brain waves change. And he likened it to a dishwasher. He says, this is our wash cycle in our brain. And our brains take so much energy that it creates a lot of waste and it needs to be cleaned out in order to function properly. And I didn't know that before. I thought that was very interesting. We need that sleep time so that our brains can be clean and they can function well. That's fantastic. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that we cover today before we close?
Yes. The one reason I wrote this book is that 1 in 4 people will have a stroke in their lifetime.
One
One
in
in
four?
yeah, 1 in 4.
Okay.
And 80% of strokes are it's possible to avoid. 80% of strokes can be avoided.
80% can be
80%.
avoided.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, a recent research, a large population research, has shown that 91% of the people surveyed could have avoided the stroke. So stroke is something that can be avoided. So if you ask me why this book is to help people avoid stroke.
I like that. So here you're talking about healing from a stroke, but if at all possible, let's avoid the stroke in the first place. And it sounds like some of the major things we need to do are to get proper sleep and also to be able to manage our stress. And
Thank you.
it matters. Our physical health depends on it. So,
Yes, exactly.
wow. Well, thank you so much, Aanandha, for visiting with me today.
Thank you so much, Linda, for your invitation.
In closing, I'd like to share a quote from author Action Jacqueline. She said, "Gratitude is the best stress reduction tactic in life. It's impossible to feel stressed and grateful at the same time. They are incompatible." Today, I invite you to choose to be grateful and see what it can do for you. See you next time on Linda's Corner. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of Linda's Corner, please share and subscribe to help us reach new listeners. I also invite you to check out my nonprofit, Hope for Healing, at the website hopeforhealingfoundation.org for free ebooks, free audiobooks, and other free resources to help increase happiness, build confidence and self-esteem, strengthen relationships, manage stress, and calm feelings of depression and anxiety. I also invite you to grab a copy of one of my books, like Crushed, A Journey Through Depression, or Amazon bestseller, You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. See you next time on Linda's Corner.